Elizabeth Bucklett. I am the Senior Director of Marketing and Communications for United Way of Asheville and Buncombe County. When it came to any kind of proactive visibility that involved advertising, typically that would be, some radio ads. We would sometimes pair the promotions that some of our local papers had with if you buy a print ad, you get some digital marketing, but it was very situational and for a very short window of time, right? One edition of the paper, one particular campaign. And so being able to have Feathr, and the reason that we chose this platform was because with the amount of dollars that we were investing in some of the other things in a very short time frame, we could kind of spread that out over time. I said, I could use that same amount of dollars to be able to have an annual subscription to a platform that's going to allow me to do a lot more things over the course of the year. We host these weekly community nights in 7 locations across the county, and it's a free dinner for the family, academic support, community building, all that stuff at the local schools. These events were going really well prior to the pandemic. And we were having, the better part of an average of 60 people a night come to each of those events. And so they were really kind of gaining momentum. Last year was the first real full-fledged, let's really start this back up. And they were just not showing up. For the folks we had, we'd have everybody there ready to go. All the volunteers were ready. And it was one family came in the door and it was crushing. The team was really like, what do we do? Should we, because they had been doing all the things that worked in the previous iterations, right? So the all calls from the school, the flyers in the backpacks, all those things worked fine back then. But really, families were just totally overwhelmed. I did campaigns for each school community individually, because I really wanted to be able to see, using historical geofencing, anyone who had been in or around any of those schools within each of those districts. I did a historical geofencing campaign around them to say, hey, here's your community night, and kind of do some tailored stuff to each community so that they kind of see themselves a little bit in it. It went from really no one coming to, suddenly the very next week after I ran these ads, 30 families showed up that night, and it was like, what? And that was the only thing we had changed. It was kind of like a magical little turn the dial on the moment. And we're running those ads again, and we're back up to, I think, around an average of 55 families coming every night. I also did last year, and I'm going to do it again this year for that same campaign, is the lookalike feature. And so finding people who identify as an educator within those different communities that may be retired educator or, in a different school system than the ones that we're in. One that we did was just a pure thank you to our sponsors, just like we would do in an ad, maybe in a publication, to say thank you to all these folks for doing these things. An example would be one of our local companies, Eaton. They have very often done so many different kinds of volunteer opportunities that we've kind of crafted in partnership with them. So we backlinked to those blogs that showed their team out in the community, and so then these digital ads that we created with a thank you to Eaton for their sponsorship helped to bring people back to all that content, and really saw some pretty significant growth in terms of their visibility and our joint visibility together. In March of last year, I took a look at and I think it was like an 11-week period of time, that we had done this campaign. And at that point, we had about 614 views on that particular page. If I compared that to the previous year, it was about 113 views to that same page. So when they saw that we had been thinking about how to get them some good visibility, and that we had numbers to back that up, to show them what that meant, and what that growth looked like. That was there was a nice moment there for them. That's a 443% increase in traffic. Obviously, we want a conversion. Like, that's the gold star of what you're searching for. You want them to take whatever that action is. And usually that means clicking through, reading it, taking the call to action, making that donation, signing up for the volunteer opportunity. What I am also interested in is just having people see our stuff out there in a different location than they're normally used to seeing us. We're oftentimes hearing from supporters and like, well, where are you? What, I haven't seen anything in the news or whatever. And that's, I can't control that, but what I can control is making sure that when they flip that page or they open that particular website, if there's an opportunity to see, oh, there's an ad by United Way over there. Oh, I didn't know they were doing, let me see what that's about. And so that retargeting piece is really getting folks who we have had in our orbit naturally, organically, and through Feathr efforts as well, to be able to see something else that they might miss in the newsletter because they didn't open it up or they didn't see whatever. But they are doing the daily crossword puzzle, and it's in the feed right there.